Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name is Charles McGillivray, and as always, I'm joined by Jess Keppel and Simon Stacey. We're a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints. Top of the log, how are we doing? What are we doing?
Good, thank
Can't
you.
complain about that, can
Yeah,
we?
good, thank you. After that, was they made us work for it, didn't they? Crikey.
Yeah, I don't know, it's sort of a weird one, isn't it? Because we like I said, we are undefeated, top of the we admittedly we dropped 2 points we shouldn't have dropped, but we've only dropped 2 points, and yet I don't really feel like we've played that well in the tournament. Yeah, I think we're a long way from being our best.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, if you could be top of the table after 4 rounds and not quite at your best yet, it could be worse, right? Like, I remember.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember when I was watching the game and then the result after. I think I messaged both of you and I was like, "There's a chance we're going to end the thing at the top of the table," and yet I think we've played probably like some of the worst, like statistically, some of the lower down teams in the league, and I don't know what's going to happen when we play some of the top ones. And then the whole rest of the weekend happened, and some insane results that I was not expecting happened, and I realised that actually anybody can lose and anybody can win, and so maybe it's not quite as clear cut as that, because there were some of the results, Quinn's beating Sarries and then Sarries dominating Sale and Quinn's not getting any points against Exeter, like, and Leicester beating Bath, which I don't think anyone really expected. I felt like Bath were kind of a cut above everyone else, like the way they've been so far, and yet we're top. And yeah, because I think I messaged you both, and I was like, I'm not looking forward to some of the top teams, but then actually, it's more, yeah. That whole weekend seems to have thrown everything into like disarray, like because what I expected to happen basically didn't happen in most of those matches. So yeah,
That's it. All the injuries we've got and the players we've had missing. Yeah, you can't argue with that. Unbeaten, only side unbeaten, and top of the league. So yeah, them up the road did us a favour, didn't they? Beating the old Bath. But yeah,
yeah.
who saw that one coming? Last minute as well. That's got to be a bad one to take. But yeah, not going to argue with that. We got the points. That's all we need to do is keep. Imagine if we hadn't messed up that second half at Exeter now. 20 points top of the league, 4 points clear. Should it be 4 points clear? No, 2 points clear. No, it'd be
We're
4,
2 points
wouldn't
clear
it?
now. We would be 4, yeah.
We were before, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, it's a strange one. It is a league, like you say, where anyone can beat anyone. It's about any given weekend, just seems to be completely bizarre. And then the home fixtures do seem to tend to lean towards the home team in quite a drastic way in some instances, like the Quins result of the weekend, for example.
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
But yeah, and to be fair, Newcastle looking a lot stronger against us than they had the previous week. You take 50 from Sale the week before, and then I think the 9 made a big difference for them. I think the international, the two international class 9s played in that game, and so I think he made a big difference for them, and also that Maffey seems to be getting more and more involved in their game plan, doesn't he? So they were probably at their best, albeit there were some decisions. I mean, I don't want to turn this into a referee and thing, right? And I like to say the point: the last two, we've won the last 2 games, so it's not a bitterness of losing. But I will say again, and I'm not. This is my last comment on the referee, but this sport will remain a minor sport whilst the referees are that standard. Like you're not all these new fans coming to Newcastle, right, to watch fans. It doesn't matter if you've got Red Bull money. If the standard of officiating is that bad, then what's the point? No, it won't ever catch on.
All that money and they can't even get a decent DJ. My God, that guy needed shooting. No offense. If that ever happens at the Garden, I will contemplate not ever going, because that was, oh my God, it was doing my head in. Every single, we've got no atmosphere, we've got a sellout, but let's just play music constantly. That's not even relevant to rugby. Yeah, please don't do that, Saints, if you're listening.
That was the thing as well. They did have an atmosphere. Like I said, they've had 2 back-to-back home sellouts, haven't they? Like, there actually was a pretty good atmosphere, probably the best they've had in a long time. And like, I don't like it when they play music during all of it anyway. But I'm like, I get it if maybe there really is no atmosphere. There's like not really many people there, maybe. But it didn't really feel like it needed it. It was actually such a good game, like a good competitive game between 2 sides. And then obviously, like, the last 15, 20 minutes, whatever, we got the margin that we needed and kind of ran away with it a little bit. But for a good 60 minutes, that was a really good competitive game and people were really into it. And I think you had mentioned it. One of you two had mentioned in the group chat we have, like, it wasn't even just that they were playing it in like the dead spaces, it was continuing when like lineouts were being thrown or kicks were being taken or whatever. And I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, that like they're selling a different product to say what Saints are selling, right? They are going for a younger market, university town. They are selling a night out rather than a rugby match, right? So that's the difference, and whatever it is, what it is. What is not acceptable in my eyes is when they play that da, 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 and that want to get the crowd to go LA or whatever. Don't do that while the game's on. Like that's not on. You can't have the tannoy on while the game's being played.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah.
acceptable. But otherwise, yeah, it is what it is. Thinking about the game, I mean, the first thing that sticks to mind for me is we are really struggling this year to get that offside line right, aren't we?
Yeah.
A number of and criticize the ref for a number of decisions, whatever, and we don't have to go into them all. But the offsides were fair cop, and
Yeah.
they were fair, and it's like a consistent issue that we've had all year. We've given away so many offside penalties, but then you also saw that. So the first half, our defence was really on top, really big collisions, really closing them down. But we were giving away those offsides. Second half, they clearly went right. Let's just ease off, but really step back, not lose a bit of game speed, line speed, but make sure we stay outside. So the penalties dropped down from an offside point of view, but
Yeah.
we were so passive in defence that they came back into the game. We desperately need to find that balance if we're gonna be successful against some of the bigger clubs.
Yeah. It's discipline's been a problem. It has been a problem that since the beginning of the season, really. I mean, that was the whole kind of problem, wasn't it, against Exeter, but really against Gloucester. Going down to 13 for a couple of different periods because we just couldn't. And that was offsides. A lot of them were offsides. It was just, he was like, the next person is going to be a yellow. And then had to keep giving them because we were continuing to do it. I don't know why it's become a sudden problem from one season to the next, but yeah, it needs to be fixed. Needs to be fixed because it feels like, and I felt like this in all of the games, right? That once we've got ball in hand and we're working through it, and we're probably going to be really difficult to beat, but you're giving possession and territory away to teams all the time, and then that pressure usually equates to more offsides. Like, right, statistically, I reckon sides give offsides more often when they're on their line, defending their line. So giving people territory and giving people gains so that they're on your line, it then just means that inevitably you're going to do something else. And that's not just us. It isn't just us that does it. Every team does it, right? I say 9 times out of 10, when a team is defending 5 meters out from their line, someone's going to go offside or they're going to do something. But I think it's the number of penalties and things we're giving away that puts us in that position to keep giving away more.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. At most, you go, well, we concede a load of territory and you're on your own line. Well, most reasons you're on your own line is because you've given a penalty away further up the field. You've
Yeah.
got to be your defence has got to be on top of things in their 10 meter line as well as in your 10 meter line. You've got to be, almost both are just as important in terms of discipline. And against some of the bigger teams like traditionally Exeter. And Bath now, definitely now as well. If you give them entries into your 22, that's just conceding tries. Like there's
Yeah.
no sort of stopping them really. That is if some of the better teams get into your 22, that's just points conceded. So you have to be disciplined further up the pitch. It might go, oh, it's a silly penalty, but it's up the pitch as a matter. No, it is because that will lead to, first of all, momentum shifts. It will lead to territory loss, and that eventually, essentially, always is going to lead to points.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd say as well was we looked so much more clunky again in attack. We've even against Tigers, when we put our attack on the game on the pitch, we've been unplayable, and it has been an element of we've scored so many tries and so many points because when we get that play going, it's almost the same play every time, but it just carves defenses to pieces, and we've scored tries. The number of dropped balls, even from the 12-10 axis sort of thing, which previously was excellent. The number of dropped balls was just way below, way above what you'd expect from that pitch. I've said it before. It's like we raise our games against the bigger teams, and when we go into these pictures against teams where we're expected to blow them away, we don't always see the best performances from the
Yeah.
team as a whole. It just seemed to happen again.
I got to say that when it works, it really works. Like that and I mean, it helps that Saints, to be fair, uploaded a video of it in slow motion. But the passage of play leading up to the Tadaro try
Yeah, yeah.
was just was like beautiful from start to finish. Like Mitch to Dingers, Dingers back to Mitch, Mitch literally just having to like get rid of it faster than like the speed of light to be able to kind of then to Finn, then to Hutch, who I still maintain Hutch's. You look at the back line and how well everyone passes. Like his final pass onto Tadaro is, I still think he's the best passer in the Prem though. So when it comes together, it really comes together. But yeah, I've definitely seen a lot more, and even a lot more forward passes that we don't typically. It's not like we're not accustomed to running at speed and being able to get ourselves in the correct position. Like we play fast, we play quick. Yeah, it just isn't clicking for some reason, and it's gonna be interesting. Obviously, not this match because we're still going to have the England contingent, but some of them are going to obviously be gone. You know, the first match is the first of Nov, so they're going to be gone soon, and sort of what happens there. Because I'd actually say that I felt like our attack was playing a little bit better before some of them came back into it, because I think they'd played a little bit together for a while, like in the pre-season and the first, the Prem Cup matches in the first Prem matches, and they seem to have all kind of clicked together. And that's not me saying the England contingent, the Lions contingent, sorry, have played bad. It's just, sometimes when you come into something that's working quite well, it's not quite the same thing. And so it'll be interesting kind of what happens after that. But yeah, when it works, it really works. And then, well,
Skill.
for Coles's try, we didn't even need a beautiful setup. We just needed him smashing his way right to the line. Like,
I was literally going to say the same thing about the lads coming in. It's like they're world class. We all know that, but was it too soon? Because they haven't had a pre-season. They've had 10 weeks off. They've got to get up to speed. They've got to get their bodies like toned. You can do all the work on the pitch you like, the training pitch you like, but it's totally different, isn't it? That's why I always thought it was a bit harsh on Tony Bellew to just drop him for them up the road game, because I thought he was actually on fire. But in the end, he was the super sub, wasn't he? But yeah. Then there's quite a few new players as well. You got to think in the pack. You got like Chick, you got the big JJ. So like they're all getting used to each other. So I get it, and they've got to get used to our type of play. But you are right about us. Penalty count is insane. It is costing us, but hopefully we won't do that against the better teams. Like Charles said, we normally step our game up. And let's hope that starts Friday against the other enemy.
Yeah, I was going to say, literally say that last year we beat them 3 times in one season. So, there's a lot kind of riding on continuing that trajectory over them. But I mean, that performance against Sale was crazy. So yeah, be interesting what it's kind of. But like you said, it seems to be that at the moment, like home teams seem to be getting. I mean, and I don't. No offense to kind of Newcastle, Gloucester, but they're at the bottom, so maybe not them as much. But some of the other teams, like you said, Exeter getting that win over Quins, and when Quins I think quite spectacularly managed to dismantle Sarries' game the week before, and then Sarries over Sale. Like there's obviously they seem to be using the home advantage, so hopefully that stands us in good stead on Friday.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll get to the Sarries game in a bit, but I mean, going back to the tries, the Tadaro try, like I said, just the skill sets, it wasn't, because that wasn't a preset move or anything. That was just, bit of magic and then unreal skills. I mean, Mitchell, for me, I'm pretty sure can't remember who got man of the match, but for me, Mitchell won. Coles, was it? Yeah, Coles was good. Don't get me wrong, but for me, Mitchell won us the game. There are a number of times when, we were under the cosh, and he just did a few, typical scrum half, plays where we'll catch them offside, and he's actually pushing the ball into a player on an offside and dropping it forward and getting the pen for him to have a kick at goal, and a few occasions where we probably got a bit of momentum, a bit of territory, got 3 points in one instance where Mitchell just sort of won those penalties by himself. He showed his nous and his skill, I think.
You have to be careful with that, though, don't you? Because a lot of refs were like clamping down on that, where you deliberately throw it at the player that's offside. Back a couple of years ago, but they're offside. I remember here on the ref link, like, it's like, you don't need to do that, Alex. But he's like, blatantly throw it in. I heard it and saw it a few times in that match. Shouldn't be there then, should they? Really? But that's just the nous. Use what you've got.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He doesn't do it all the time. He doesn't do all I feel like he does the ones where it's like you have a better chance of kind of making the point. Like, because like I said, a lot of the time the refs will sort of say, they don't really like it when the Nines do it intentionally. But and I think there was a few more times he could have done it in that game, but I think he picked the two moments that you know, though they really would have been disrupting the play, so he
Yeah,
just did it. Like,
I think a few years ago, you're right. The refs were trying to make, maybe more than a few years ago, trying to make a point of, oh no, you threw it into him, sort of thing. But I think it's quite clear now that like the directive from the refs is no, factual. He's offside. That's
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And you so you get a decision quite quickly on those. And we actually have a pretty standard play that we've run quite a few times off our scrum, especially when we're on 22, where we'll get a quick off the quick hit up from the centre, nearish the scrum, and then the nine will try and take the ball back down the blind side where you've got their whole pack retreating from the scrum, so you're
yeah.
just throwing it into them coming, because they're all offside. So I think we purposely have that play to do that, and I
Yeah,
think it's got us out of trouble a few times. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah, Mitchell clearly knows that's a thing, and he does
Yeah.
it well. Going
I think
back
he was
to
he.
the
Sorry,
sorry.
he's definitely the like lion that slotted back into the team. Like he hasn't been away for for a long time. Definitely. Yeah. No, he was incredible. Yeah.
I think Finn has as well. I think some of the passing to Finn wasn't quite right, but I
Yeah.
think he has been pretty without being. He's shown glimpses of his skill, but he hasn't been
Mhm.
spectacular. But he has been pretty solid. Like you said, the other player that was pretty remarkable in the game was Alex Coles. I've said it a million times before. That man is a unique athlete. You do not get
Yep.
second rows like him. Or that play the game like he does. I mean, I don't think we can go as far as to call it a step because it took about 5 steps to change direction when he went around the fullback, right? But it was still a pretty good finish, wasn't it?
He
I
still
was
sent the quarter. He still sent the
ridiculous.
fullback hot dog, didn't he? Literally, you hear on the commentary. He went, "What was it? Oh, there's a worldie from Coles." He literally because he's lumbering in. He just, you're right. He did take a few steps, but he totally offset
he
his
he
feet.
he hadn't scored it earlier, but in the Mitchell try, it was his break.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
His break of just getting all the way through, and then like I get what you said about Mitch about some of the things he did that kind of won us the game, but I'd also make the same argument for Coles. Like some of those line out steals when they were on our
yeah,
line and it was their line
yeah,
out were ridiculous, like ridiculous. There's one of them literally right on the 5 meter line, and it's literally like it would be like in a textbook, I think, of how you steal a line out. That was absolutely perfect. They got the timing of the jump right, and then obviously it helps. He's got like spaghetti arms and really long arms, so he can just whack it over. But yeah, it would be like it's like a textbook line out steal. He did a couple of them, and then yeah, that try was magnificent. To be fair to him, like he said,
yeah.
you don't see a forward scoring them very often, but especially as like he's kind of like is he absolutely like the fastest out there? No, but I think he's got enough speed that his size plus speed. It's like well, as soon as he started running, I was like, he's going to get to the line, isn't he? Because
Well,
like how do you take him down?
it is a bit like they called in the commentary, I think, where they called him, a giraffe with ballet shoes or
Yeah,
whatever, because yeah, he doesn't look like he's traveling fast, but he is because his stride's so long.
so
Like
yeah, exactly.
where like someone like Ollie Sligo might have 5 steps, he has one. So it's like he's actually been moved at quite a rate, and it's not like
He
he
did, yeah.
looks cumbersome either. He looks like a really good athlete. Like I said, he didn't quite have that explosion off the right foot. There was a few sort of a slow and go around them, but it was still unbelievable finish.
I was gonna
Do
say
you
you're
think
Um,
he would
still
have
you're still
actually
you're still
tackled?
taking a 15 out of play, aren't you? That's still a great
yeah, yeah.
move. Like
Still a great finish. It's not quite the Sammy Manua step when he stepped Alex
oh,
Good a few years ago, where it was a proper step. But yeah, I think a couple of other things to talk about on that game was first of all the JJ cards sort of thing. First of all, the first one, yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to mention it, but he gets a very technical penalty against him at the line out time for going across the line out and grabbing the ball. I think a lot of refs would have probably let that slide, albeit we'd had a number of sides, so we'd probably burnt our
it
luck a
was
bit.
we'd had a warning. It was a warning really at that point, wasn't it? So it felt like even if it was just something small or something that maybe didn't affect the play as much as it could have done, I think yeah, it was just that was going to happen essentially, and he quite clearly moved across the line before it And like I said, he's so big, he's so easy to spot. It's like, well, you aren't going to get away with that, and you're definitely not going to get away with that when we're on a warning, a fully deserved warning up to that point as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's then just doubly frustrating when at the very next line out, they have two players clearly ahead of the ball to from which they
Yeah,
score from, right? So that's where you get that bitterness because I think, for me anyway, like once we'd annoyed the ref, it felt like we were the only team that were ever going to get penalised. He seemed to only find our errors, and they were clearly just as technical, but just as clear and obvious penalties the other way. And that, like I think you mentioned it, just like that the clear out on Prowse, that was right in front of the referee, wasn't picked up. It sort of
yeah.
it didn't seem like he was watching us. But anyway,
It's
moving to the JJ next yellow card, do we think that's the right decision?
different angles. You're looking at different angles. One angle, it looks like he's hit the shoulder. Then you see it from another angle. He actually does look like he's hit his head. But yeah, it's
I, d-
just
I think I think he has hit his head, and then unfortunately he's just in a situation of just he just tackled him all wrong, and and like I said, I think it is yellow on its own, but it's just obviously unfortunate that he'd got the previous one, and so it was a 20. And the thing is, he'd had a really 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 good game until that point. Um, but yeah, I do think on its own, technically, it is a yellow. I suppose the difficulty is, I would argue there are some yellow cards that Falcons didn't. Falcons still call them Falcons, that Red Bulls didn't get, and they possibly should. The difficulty we have is that, like that Prowse one, like he's lifted it above the horizontal, but I'd argue that he sort of landed on the top of his back. So I kind of question, is that only a penalty? And there was a really bad one on Freeman that I think they missed because it was around the same time as JJ had got his yellow, I think, or something. It was around the same time, and they pretty much lifted Tommy's legs above the horizontal and dunked his head into the ground. And that
yeah,
didn't seem to get picked up at the same time. So it
it's
was a bit like it's like on balance, like was it a correct yellow card? I think so. But it just kind of rankles a little bit when there's perhaps a few things they did. And like I said, the Prowse one, like irrespective, like Prowse is not a small man. You should be able to see that his legs are absolutely pointing up in the air. Like he's a tall guy. He's a big guy. Like I don't understand how, even if you didn't see the whole thing, even if you have to stop at that moment to take a look at the screen, like you see someone's legs pointing straight up in the air, like how do you think they've got there? They've not put themselves there.
Yeah,
So it seemed
exactly.
a bit it seemed a bit strange. But I remember after they scored the try, and I was like, yeah, the TMO. I was confident that the TMO would see it and call it back. I was like, the TMO's coming back for that. There's no way that they haven't seen that.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the 50-50 sometimes of the TMO because sometimes they'll jump in and sometimes they'll wait to be asked.
I
Um,
won't. I
Yeah,
won't comment on the ref because whenever we have Tempest, he's absolutely dire and he absolutely hates us. So I knew the minute we had him, I was like, yeah, we're not getting any rub of the green from this guy because he just
I,
seems to. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't like the Saints.
I don't think it's a personal thing against Saints. I think he's just incompetent. And I will say that I think it's absolutely a shameful on the sport that you can have referees that are as bad as he is for that long a time and still maintain his job. Like, yes, it's his living. People need to have jobs, etc. But it's also a performance sport. If a player was that bad on a consistent basis, they wouldn't maintain their job. Being a Premiership referee is a job for life, regardless of performance. That's not good enough. But anyway, that's like let's move on. The only thing I would say with the JJ thing is I thought, like so I said, different angles made it look slightly differently. Like from one angle, it looks very clear to me that it's the Red Bull's shoulder hits first, and then he sort of engulfs him. And there's no, and the thing where you can't really defend is the fact that he's not low enough. JJ hasn't got low enough. It's one of those sort of stood up engulfing sort of tackles where you sort of take, head into chest sort of things. Did he hit
mm,
him with his shoulder in the head? I'm not convinced he did, but it's like how much time did they actually spend looking at these things? It's like the knock on last week from Litchfield. They didn't even bother looking to see if it was a knock on or not. They just always fumbled it. It must be a knock on. He regathered it before it hit anything. It was a knock on. Like that, I think sometimes they rush to the decision because they're a bit pressurized to make a decision and not take too long going through it. And sometimes the TMO will lead them down a route because he's got an opinion on it and stuff like that. But
yeah.
anyway. Last thing I suppose to discuss, I was just thinking. So we got with the Falcons game. What I'm trying to think, what else there was to discuss. Oh, the thing is, obviously Todoro got another try. I mean, he's now in the Italy
He's
squad. I
in
mean,
the senior Italy squad,
that
yeah.
that's a
I
bit
was
of
going to
a
mention that.
turnaround,
Yeah,
isn't it?
we got to
Yeah,
congratulate him for that.
yeah,
Yeah, that's yeah. And like totally deserved as well. Like the way he's been playing since we started. I mean, that's why I picked him. So I picked him for try scorer this week. So I was like, there's no way you can't. At this, I don't think it's possible at this point. Like, just crazy. And it's going to be really interesting, like who Sarries picked this weekend, because you might have like Tadaro and you might have Kaluri in one game. I mean, how fun will that be to see like those two talents like on the pitch at the same time? Which would be so fun. But yeah, I think yeah, it's really good that he gets into the. And I'm just hoping that obviously I don't know the likelihood of him getting selected or not, but it's really good experience at the end of the day, isn't it? Like to get called up into that squad and to, even if you don't play, how much is he going to learn and
yeah.
hone his
It's
craft? And it's an invaluable thing for a 19-year-old.
yeah. The only thing is, I imagine he was pretty much nailed on starting all the Prem Cup games, and they're going to have to think about that again now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
The,
yeah,
the other big factor in the game that I think really went in our favour and gave us that foothold, especially in that second half, was I think our scrum went really well. I mean, Red Bull need to, the first thing they need to do is get £1 million and go out and sign a couple of tight heads because the two tight heads that played for them on Friday night, they were absolutely destroyed. It didn't matter whether it was Fischetti or whether it was when Iogan came on. They just could not cope.
no.
And it gave us a number of penalties, a number of momentum, number of getting up territory, etc. Like that was a big factor that helped us, I think.
I mean, I think Manny coming on generally. I mean, that guy was going for it from the second he came on, like, all around the pitch. I've said it before. He's an incredible defensive unit when he's on the pitch. I mean, I just think that the bench generally had a really big part to play, and I say that even though it was like Coles who played the whole game, who kind of got that final try and made it look a lot nicer in terms of the scoreline. But yeah, I think the bench was strong, and the scrum was really really strong. I think it's been really, I know we talked on the podcast last season about how much we rate Ferguson, and we absolutely still do. But it's like, and he set up an incredible foundation that Pienaar seems to have come in and just automatic, like already gotten it like to like a level above. Like I think it's been working incredibly this season so far. I mean, Manny, like I think all of us have always really rated Manny all around the pitch, like and everything that he does. But yeah, I don't know what's been going on with him over summer, but he's come back this season and he's just a level above where he was last season already. I think it's been incredible.
Wasn't it his rip that led to Coles' try as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, he ripped the ball at one point. Yeah.
Right,
Um,
being
I think it may have been,
I think
yeah.
it was, yeah.
And then off
That
off,
he,
off the draft went. But yeah, no, it's been so good.
But it does. I know the scrum's doing well, but it does help when you've got that massive unit that is JJ behind, which is obviously going to help because that's what we've been missing, isn't it? Really, but yeah,
yeah,
you can't argue. Ferguson left the foundation of years and years of like absolutely getting the most out of what we had, probably the lightest pack in the Premiership, and now it looks like it's just continued, and he's just going from strength to strength, and the lads are just gonna. It's always going to help. That's why they moved. They swapped, didn't they? Because they said a fresh coach into the system is always going to help with the lads learning new techniques and taking from his
Yeah.
experience.
yeah,
Definitely.
100%, 100%. So now let's turn our focus forwards to Saracens on Friday night. I mean, I'm going to say I think it's the first real litmus test for this side. I think the sides that
Yep.
we've played thus far. I mean, the derby's the derby. You can isolate that on its own thing.
Yeah.
But I think the other sides are probably the bottom three, and I don't think Leicester will be much further up than that, to be honest with you. But they did look pretty good with James O'Connor. To be fair, he looks like the missing link. But
Because the
but
Aussie.
Well, he's
Bringing the
good though. I
Aussie.
mean, he was very good the other day.
He was very good, which is
Class.
kind of contrasting to how I think he played all right when we played them, but I'm still laughing at them shouting distance, 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 and he kicked the ball into touch about a meter. Just made me laugh really hard. But
he was
I must admit, he was sensational for Leicester against
Well, I
Barnsley.
thought he added a bit. I know, yeah, the kicking side, but he added a bit to them when he played when they came
Yeah,
back into the
definitely.
game a bit when he came on, and then obviously got his first start the other day, and
Yeah.
he's had a bit of a renaissance in his career. Anyway, he spent a season with the Crusaders in New Zealand and pretty much, had a serious impact on them winning Super Rugby,
Yeah.
and then kicking winning points and stuff as well. But yeah, and then obviously had that got back into the Australian side and looked pretty much to the manner born again, and he's walked into Leicester and like suddenly they can attack like that. Where did that come from? it's it's
Yeah.
it's
he
yeah.
is class. He's a class lad. He always has been. I can't believe he seems to have been around for like 40 years. Isn't it? Was he 35? It's insane. The
35,
amount.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
He
Yeah. Yeah.
well, he came in so young, and it was when they mucked him around a bit because I'm trying to think of the Kiwi who was the coach at the time's name. I can't think what he was called. Was it Roy Bird or something? I can't remember what his name was, but he like he played him on the wing one week, played him at fullback the next, played him at 10, and it's
Yeah.
like he's probably an out and out fullback is what he really is, but and he's sort of grown into 10 as he's gone on, but they sort of chose him as the chosen one when he was like 17, and expected him to go out, having never played 10, to go out and become a 10, and it sort of set him back a bit. But yeah, he in his career, it's all come good. But anyway,
Yeah.
but looking ahead to the Sarries game, sorry, I mean it's hard. I think the first thing we need to discuss is you mentioned him, Kokori. I mean, that
Glory.
kid, he's NFL standard athletic. Like he
It's
is
it's
seriously good.
mental. Because you think about because funnily enough, like when Sarries played Quins, like Quins dominated them with their kicking game. Like Marcus Smith was, and I sort of hate to say it because obviously we've got our own Smith that's in the they're kind of both in the fight for the 10 job. I thought Marcus Smith was like incredible that day. I like his kicking game was outrageous and it pushed Sarries back, but they didn't have Kalori start in that game. And then I must admit I didn't watch the entire. I think I gave up on Sarries sale like 50 minutes in when I was like, oof, okay. But at that point, you kick the ball to Kaluri, and like the height that man gets is out of this world. Like you won't win the battle.
No,
You just
he,
won't. So
like,
your
serious
game plan
athlete.
is going to have to, if he doesn't start, maybe you've got a chance. Because like I said, against Quins, they lost the aerial battle like by a mile. But against Sale, it was the opposite. Like they had Kaluri, and like we talk about the James Ram, right? James Ram's like gymnastic ability to get up there, but even he doesn't have the height that he has. Like it's insanity. So you can basically guarantee that he's going to get to the ball first, and he doesn't even have to catch it. He just has to hit it back to his team, and he will jump higher than you. And if he gets where he needs to be, you won't win that battle. So assuming that he's going to start, and I don't see why he wouldn't, because that performance was like, considering. I mean, what did they say he scored? 5 tries?
He scored
5
five
tries.
tries.
Five,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like I said, his ability under the high ball, I'm just like if he starts your kicking game, you have to consider it has to come into considerations of is it going to be a workable part of the game plan? Because then you give the ball to him or you give the ball to their backline. Sarries are still a very, very dangerous outfit when it comes to scoring. They've got some really, really good players in there. But he was like I said, they beat them 60 something points to whatever, and it was a good all round. It was a great all round team performance, but he still stood out like literally head and shoulders above everyone else. So
Yeah, no,
it's danger. He is so incredibly dangerous.
yeah. No, there isn't an athlete in the Prem that can match him. Like he
Nope.
is a different level of athlete. Like I said, he's NFL standard athlete. The only player I can think of and you're gonna call me out again because he's an Aussie, but the only athlete I think in the game at the moment that even comes close to his athleticism is Joseph Swali, the Aussie centre who came over from the NRL. Like
Yeah.
they're different levels of athleticism, and he also showed like absolute gas beyond belief. Like at one point, he
Yeah.
could have just run straight and scored under the post, but he decided to round George Ford just for fun. Like
Yeah.
he's going to be a sensational player. And, like he's basically had one Premiership start, and they've called him up to the England squad to train. There's a
Yeah.
talent there too. It's almost like you got to do something different because you can't play him at his game, and whoever plays opposite him on the wing is in for a tough, um, evening on Friday night. But you can't just tell whoever it may be. Say they go Tommy Freeman on the wing against him. You can't just tell Tommy Freeman, yeah, just go and compete with him in the air, because you're asking him to do something he can't do. You've got to think of something else, and whether that's let him have the ball and absolutely belt him when he lands, or whether that's try and get
Yeah.
in the position so that you're in the position first, so that he can't get the momentum. Try and stop him taking off in the right areas. They're gonna have to be really think about that, because he was on Prem debut and Sarries were not, um, they weren't absent from giving him the opportunities. They went to him often. Like it wasn't a case of he's a new kid. Oh, they'll work it out. No, that was a clear tactic from them to go straight to him.
Yeah.
That they recognise what he brings to the game. I think otherwise, looking at Sarries, like there is talent everywhere. They are a
Yeah.
good side. You look at that back row, Willis, Earl, that's ball carrying for days. It
Gonzalez,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, Gonzalez is an unreal athlete as well, especially at line out time. Like, I mean, hasn't been a few. It's been they've got. I'm not even sure if he's in the squad, but or if he's fit or not. But McFarland come in.
Yeah.
Ezekiel's there. The talent is
Itoji
there.
in the second row.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
Itoje, yeah. Um, I think there are weaknesses. I don't think that. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I think here's the thing, right? So Saracens for years they just brought in world class talent, and everyone knows why and how, and you love to hate them. What you would say now though is you do look at that side that they're growing, and they've gone youth through. You look at the two Bracken lads coming through, actually players, along with Kokiri, actually out of their academy. They've not just signed a 22-year-old that's been developed elsewhere and claim that they're one of theirs. They literally have developed. The Bracken boys are the son of Kieran Bracken.
Byron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and they look credible young talents as well. The 10, the 9 Charlie looks great. So like they are an exciting team now, Sarries. It's not
Yeah.
just
100%. Yeah.
dominance through signing Will Skelton. It is generally there's actually a bit of excitement about them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I can only feel like it's going to have to be a game where, like, we're going to have to be confident ball in hand and our ability to keep ball in hand, because I don't get me wrong, they're a really great defensive side, so I'm not saying that that's just simply the answer. It is not. But yeah, I said I don't see any reason that they're not going to start Kaluri again. Like they'd be mad not. They'd be mad not to. Like, so you immediately know that, like, if you're going to kick, I guess you've got to kick short, right? You've got to kick into the group of players. You can't. There's no point trying to kick back for territory, because like he catches it, and like you said, he's got wheels as well. So he doesn't. Yeah, like you said, you can have the aim of like trying to belt him when he gets to the ground, but his ability, I should imagine, to kind of get through defenders is also really, really good. So yeah, it's difficult to kind of know what they want to do really, but it's not as easy anymore of saying that, I'll make sure all of your kicks are contestable, because how possible is that with someone that can jump twice as high as you?
Yeah,
Like,
what you're saying is don't kick down his wing. If you're going to kick down a wing, kick it down
100%, yeah.
six. Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think it's. I think keeping the ball, but not allowing their defense to get on top is the key against Saracens. It's a similar game
Yeah.
plan to what we successfully did against Leinster, in
Yeah.
Dublin last year, and I think the Dublin game plan was built on the game plan that we've had success against Sarries in the past. So I think they'll go
Yeah.
back to
Yeah.
that route. But I just think now it's actually Sarries are probably more dangerous than they have been for a number of years with ball in hand. So you just got to possession is going to be pretty key. I think with off strike plays, attacking games, I think you can expose Tompkins. I think if you give him,
Hmm.
we run that set play and give him three defenders to pick from, Hutch Paul, will pick the right man and you can expose him. I think there is opportunities to attack, and I think therefore, I think there's going to be a lot of scores. I think I'm
Yeah,
predicting a
very
pretty wild
possibly.
game.
Yeah, they've been close, haven't they? Yeah. So it'll be interesting who they, if they're going to stick with the 15 from last week, if they're going to make some changes. I don't
What
really
do we
know.
think about the team?
I think you have to start with Manny. Um, they're a big Sarries are also a big upfront unit, and they're strong in that category. So I think you've just got to go as strong as you have, and so you've got to have Manny and Big Trev as your props. I think. I feel like Hook is a more difficult question because like I really rate Robbie Smith, but Craig Wright in the past two matches has come on and has gotten like match-winning turnovers, like has made incredible turnovers in both matches. But then also you argue, is that someone that you save to bring on when you need that energy? I suppose because it was like it was like rabid. It was like going for it and getting stuck in immediately, and those turnovers were like chef's kiss, really really good.
No, I agree. I was going to say
Yeah.
the same thing. I think Wright's almost playing himself into starting because he's been excellent when he's come onto the pitch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
just
but I said
Robbie
it's
offers you a bit more. He offers you a bit more weight. He's a bit bigger, isn't he? That's the only thing. I
Yeah,
think,
maybe
as
he's
in
not the
size,
biggest.
as in I
maybe.
don't. Yeah, Wright's really quick and agile, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't
Always
know. I
got to
think
swap them.
I think Wright's built bulked up a bit. I think he's
Yeah, I think a
got to
lot of
that
them have.
21 age and he's filled out a bit. And I
Oh,
wouldn't
don't get
say
me
there's
wrong.
much.
I'd start him. I would start him. I just meant I don't know whether they'd just go for the biggest, strongest pack. I think Robbie's probably got a few
Possibly, but then I
pounds.
wonder
Maybe.
if they've got sort of JJ in there, maybe they can afford a right over. Yeah, but yeah, I said that's the only thing of like, are they going to make changes there? But otherwise, it feels like you've got to have Manny and Trev. I feel like they are the
Yeah,
the best options.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then you look at the back row, and I think Callum Chick's probably, obviously, definitely playing.
Yeah,
Interestingly, Kemeny went off very early last week.
yeah,
Hopefully, there's nothing wrong there. But you'd imagine he would play unless they go Lockett and Coles at six. I wouldn't be
Mhm.
surprised if
Yeah,
Coles played six and Lockett started. And then it could look,
yeah,
interestingly, Pearson didn't play at Newcastle, right? We
yeah,
hopefully that's a rotation thing. Whether that's a
yeah.
plastic pitch thing as well,
Maybe,
might be a decision
maybe.
with the injuries that he's had. But it does get a really difficult choice as to Pollock or
you
Pearson.
you got to.
Yeah, because I would say as well, like I would say that out of both, my I feel like what I would rather is you have them both on the pitch at the same time because I just think against Saracens they're both going to add real fundamental aspects that we need, like Pollock with his like breakdown work and his pace, his speed, his like insane ability to do everything, and then Pearson's just like ball carrying ability, like he will just smash through defenders. Like I wonder if you need like both of them. So maybe you keep Coles in the second row. Maybe you have Coles and JJ, and then maybe you do have like a, a Pearson Pollock chick because I feel like they all offer something slightly different. But
Yeah,
because like I
the
say,
only
Pollock
thing,
has come back and he's been off the bench, hasn't he, twice? And I wonder if like maybe they feel like he's
Yeah,
not that he's due
I think
anything necessarily. I don't mean it like that, but maybe they feel like it's worth getting him starting because like you also kind of need someone against Sarries who's kind of in their face a bit because that's what
yeah,
Sarries are
exactly.
really good at. Like
That was
like
exactly what I was going to
the
say.
idea of having someone like Pollock to play off of someone like Earl, it would just be fantastic.
just
Like
be so
so
much
what
chat, so much terrible chat on the pitch.
yeah.
It's
But
just
I
he will
wonder how
literally,
much
wouldn't
they've
he?
sorry.
He was. I was going to say he literally will be in their face and he'll be winding them up, and he'll always draw extra players because they're always like, we want to give that lad an extra hit. So like he just draws attention. So I think they might start him this week because he's been on the bench for both.
Yeah,
Just for his personality and what he does bring to the game. It felt really bad for Pearson when we played them up the road because he came off. He had an absolutely brilliant game. Pollock came on, the bloody stadium had erupted like we just won the Premiership. So
Yeah.
he is literally the in thing, isn't he? So against them, I think he might start.
I just wonder if, like you said, sometimes it's not even just about what he can bring physically, like the way that he plays, but sometimes, like you said, like the emotional, mental element to it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's possible to even knock him down at this point. Like, it's ridiculous. So I wonder if they kind of, because we've said before about, like, there's almost like a mental element missing sometimes. But like, you bring him on and you start him and he gets going, like, you're just gonna follow his lead. Like, I
Yeah,
said this before when they came on for when we played Leicester at home, and I said that, like, Bello coming on and getting those tries was like fundamentally, like he came on and he did something in terms of like physically playing the game, but like the kind of the atmosphere and the kind of vibe and kind of everything that Pollock brought on, I felt like was just as important. And so I
Yeah.
wonder if there's a question of starting him just because of who the opposition is, like, more than anything.
it is a really, really tough. Like, I generally don't know what way they'll go. I have an inkling
No.
they'll have a six who is a good line-out operator. So obviously Kemeny is
Mm.
excellent, and all of
Yeah.
us, you've got Coles there, etc. Pearson's
Yeah.
good. Don't get me wrong, but Kemeny and Coles are outstanding. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if one of those comes. But it's like the options that they've got.
Yeah.
It's tremendous. Like, having either Pollock or Pearson, having to choose between those is or play both of them, like you said. Although I think because of the Sarries line out, they will go with a
Yeah. They'll
really
go
good
one or
line
the other. Yeah.
a really
Yeah,
good line
definitely.
option. But it's
Yeah.
one of those ones when you have JJ in the second row, you sort of have to put a bit more emphasis on your line out in the back row because
Mm.
he's not going to jump. So you got to have your four options, haven't you? So it does
Yeah.
influence it a bit. But
I mean, nine and 10 pick themselves, don't they? Really, we don't.
yeah, centres pick themselves probably
It's
as well,
not.
I think.
Yeah, I think literally, like, yeah, it's going to be Diggers. It's going to be Hutch. You need both of their passing ability, to be honest. Like, Hutch is one of our fundamental keys to like unlocking defenses, as well as, if he can play like he did before and get 100 turnovers, that'd be amazing. So all in all, I feel like he's like absolutely fundamental to it. I feel like that back line, I'm assuming, is going to be like 9 to 15. I feel like it's going to be largely unchanged.
Yeah, it all depends on who's fit in the back row. So,
Yep.
Tommy will be in the back three, I imagine.
Yep.
And then it all depends on who's fit. Todaro probably. Um,
Tadaria.
I think Litchfield is just so unlucky because he's been so good, but he's not he's good on the wing. We've got the ball in hand, etc. But he's not a
Yeah.
winger naturally. He is a natural 13,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
he got a slightly exposed against Newcastle with the cross kick from Conan to Spencer on the wing, didn't he? Because he's just not naturally being in that space. And so, like, it's one of those ones where he's playing so well, he's scoring tries, he looks so impressive when he's in full flight. But I think you'd probably go with a more familiar winger against. Imagine Litchfield having to try and cope with
Yeah.
Kokori. It's sort of you give him
Yeah.
behind into nothing. It's not his skill set. It's not what he's great
Yeah.
at.
But
So
it like you said though, it depends on like who's fit at 15, because if it's just Tommy, they kind of don't have, I suppose, much choice.
no,
Because I thought that they weren't going to play him against Newcastle because of the plastic pitch and the issues he had with his hip, and I just felt like they were like, we don't really have. He was obviously okay because he was really good and he didn't seem to be in any discomfort and everything. But it felt like it was like we don't really have anyone else, so we kind of need to do it. So. And
yeah,
I can't see who is. I mean, Ferbs is not in the England training camp, as far as I'm aware. Is still unavailable. So that's. And are you going to drop him in as a starting against Sarries anyway? No. And then I don't know. I mean, Hendy, I'm assuming
is Ollie back?
I think Ollie's back training,
no.
isn't he? But I think
They said him and Ferbs were back training, but it wasn't like full.
Yeah, they're not in full contact
It wasn't
session
full
today.
training, so
I,
I don't think either of them are ready.
It's going to be between Rambo and Hendy if either of those are fit. And Hendy's wasn't as bad as they thought, so he might
Yeah.
be available. So I think if in that instance, what you end up doing is you put Hendy at fullback, and you give
and
Freeman a
Freeman.
one-on-one with Kokori.
Glory, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
He's our best option in that to try and tackle that, isn't
Yeah.
he? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they've got so many choices, but it sort of settles. But then also they've got so much talent. You don't know. Maybe Bellew fits in at fullback because why not?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too as well.
I don't think it'll
Very
happen,
possibly.
but you never know. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's going to be Friday Night Lights at the Gardens. Sarries coming to town. It's just exciting times, isn't it? And win that game, you go into the autumn internationals top of the log, and you're not entertained sort of vibes.
Yeah.
I'm actually off to Twickenham for the first England Australia of the series, so I won't be there for the Quins game, but it means I can. If we can go in top of the league, it'll be unbelievable.
Yeah.
It will indeed, yeah. So hopefully,
Anyway.
I'm sure whoever wins that game will be top, won't they? Because Sarries are second, aren't they? So
yeah,
whoever wins the game.
The thing is, it's so close that depending on results, like if we don't win, we could be like fifth. Like that's how close it is between like 1 and 5. I mean, I don't think that will happen because I think a couple are playing each other, but that's how tight it is. But yeah, you win that and you're guaranteed them because there's a 2-point gap, isn't there? So you're absolutely guaranteed top spot for another week. And hopefully that's
the whole autumn, the whole autumn if you win that.
Yeah, if you win that, so that would be lovely, wouldn't it? And like you said, we've talked about like the mental side of it before. If they can't mentally get it up, as it were, for staying top of the table, then I'm like, what else can we give you at this point? So yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I say, if having not been at their best, not hit their straps yet, if they can finish that first off, almost a third of the way through the season, right? So if you can get a third of the way through the season, have not played the best game, be undefeated and top of the league, like you're really doing well, and it sets you up in a really strong position to at least make that top 4, and ideally make the top 2.
Yep.
Right, so let's get to predictions. It's me to go first this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go 44-36, and I'm going to go Freeman.
I had him down.
Go on,
I've just changed my score 3 times. I've just gone because I think it's going to be higher than I thought. I'm going 35-27. I'll have to change now because I put Freeman. I'll go Teldaro.
Daro, yeah. Jess?
The flying Italian.
Oh, sorry, for the people at home, we need, just so everyone's awareness. So Sai won last week, getting the margin right. We all got the result right. Jess got a try score right, but Sai got the margin right within the point, so he gets the point, and he's 2 up in the overall lead. 2-0.
Who am I going to? Well, my score's going to be 35-32. It's been like very, very tight margins, and I can't see it being any different in this one, to be honest with you. Score. Mitch. I'm going to go for Mitch.
Mitch, yeah, good shout. Interesting.
Normally, I try to normally go for a forward if everyone else goes backs, but Mitch is on it at the minute, so I'm just going to go for Mitch.
Yeah,
he's like dummying people for fun at the moment. Like I don't know how nobody can suss that he's going to go the complete opposite way to what they think.
But it's just you're waiting for him to bite, and then you just can't get it right. Yeah. Anyway, it's going to be a very exciting game. I cannot wait. I'm sure you two can't either. I'm sure everyone listening can't either.
It's Halloween as well, isn't it?
So
Halloween game.
You go in, wear a Halloween fancy dress, apparently.
Yeah, fancy dress.
I don't do Halloween.
Best prize, I'm sure. But anyway,
how many people are going to go as Henry Pollock?
So we just rename it the best Henry Pollock costume, yeah?
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks everyone for listening. It's been another good chat. We will be back next week as per usual. All the best. Good. Come on, you Saints. I've been Charles. Jess has been Jess. Simon's been Simon. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys. Bye.